Hello everyone, this is Morning Thoughts with Teresa Beam, and we're in the middle of doing a series on the Catholic priest sex scandal and cover-up. This particular video is part 2 of Is This a Homosexual Problem? Last time we discussed the actual church teachings on whether a priest can be sexually active in any way, and the answer is no. Nope, they gave that up for Christ and his church. No one forces them into becoming priests, and it is a huge sacrifice, and that's why we should see our faithful priests who keep their vows of chastity as heroes. But in this video, we're going to tackle a very tough subject, and we need a little background. In 2002, the Boston Globe exposed that Catholic priests had abused children. We were still in the process of deciding whether to enter the Catholic Church, and that report really jarred us to the bone. What happened? There was no way we were going to become Catholic until we really researched this problem. And so later, when the John Jay report came out, we found that 81% of the abuse was priests abusing boys. That was weird. So we naturally assumed that the problem was of a same-sex temptation. Now, I want to insert here that the alleged abuse statistics are included in the John Jay report. Some of the statistics are from actual court cases, but much of the sexual abuse was and is reported after the statutes of limitation is up, so they can't be confirmed by a court of law. I just wanted to let you guys know that. So all the numbers are going to reflect both the alleged and proven abuse statistics. Okay. So, more recently, the Pennsylvania grand jury found similar statistics among the 300 priests who committed sexual abuse of over 1,000 children. It was by far same-sex in nature, and other studies support those same findings. That's the background. So recently, when I read Father Martin in the American Magazine, which is the Jesuit Review, he wrote that only a small percentage of homosexuals abuse minors. He didn't say the percentage, but he did say that he knew hundreds of homosexual Catholic priests who were keeping their vows of chastity. And then I read several bishops' letters. Most recently was the Richmond, Virginia's Bishop Nestout, and they all claim that it's not a homosexual problem, although some bishops are saying that it is. But anyway, I thought that I would go back to the research I did. And sure enough, the facts that were laid out makes one think that the vast majority of predation was done to little boys. So let's go back and look at the statistics carefully and just try to figure this thing out. We will use the John Jay study because it seemed to be the most mainstream in its findings. Okay, during the years of 1950 through 2002, there were 109,694 priests that served in the United States. 4,392 of those priests, or 4%, were alleged to have abused minors. Of the priests that abused minors, 834 abused girls, or 19%, of the entire group of abusers. The vast majority of the abusing priests, 3,558 of them, targeted boys. That's 81%. That means that from this group of predator priests, less than 1 out of 4 abused girls. More than 3 out of 4 priests from this group abused boys. If only 4% of the male population in the United States is gay, wouldn't that be reflected in the priesthood and then also in the group of priests that are abusing children? Yet the distribution isn't equal at all. 81%, not 4% of the group of abusers, of the abuser priests are gay. But wait, I just read Father James Martin say that only a small fraction of the gays are predators. So if 3,558 is a small percentage of the overall group of gays, then how many homosexual priests are there? And how would you find out how many of the 109,694 priests during those years were homosexual, that they could have had among them 3,558 predator priests? So I decided to see what the numbers would be if I distributed the 4% of predators priests, that the John Jay report gave us, equally among the homosexuals and heterosexuals. I threw in a couple of extra numbers onto these charts that I'm showing you right now so that you can get a broad perspective of what we're speaking about. So the number 834 is 4% of heterosexual priests, and 3,558 is 4% of the homosexual priests. You can see already that the number is going to show that there are a vast more homosexual priests than heterosexual. How does this make sense? The total population of priests for those 5 decades was 109,694. Is it possible that 88,950 out of those were homosexual? But that would have to be the number of homosexual priests in order to get a 4% rate of abuse to be the same as the heterosexual abuse of the general population. So let's plug in another percentage that does not distribute the abuse of priests equally between the homosexual and heterosexual groups. Let's say 10% of the homosexual priests were predators. That would mean that only about 1% of the heterosexuals were predators. You can see by the chart that if we make the percentage larger within the homosexual group, that makes the percentage of predators lower. If 15% of the homosexual priests were predators, that would drive the heterosexual rate down to well below 1%. So, there are only 3 scenarios that I can think of that would make sense of these statistics. And if you can think of any others, please let us know in the comments section. Okay, here's possible scenario number 1. If both homosexuals and heterosexuals have the same percentage of child predation or child predators lurking among their group, that means for more than half a century, for 5 decades, 4 out of 5 Catholic priests were and are homosexual, more than 20 times the amount in the general population. While maybe homosexuals don't care, they would have to admit that probably, in fact, without a doubt, they were getting preferential treatment in seminaries, and the heterosexuals were being bullied out in some fashion. Okay, and that would, of course, mean the seminaries need to be investigated. Possible scenario number 2. Homosexual priests abuse minors at a rate higher than the heterosexual priests. That scenario is not going to be appreciated by homosexuals, so I challenge them to help me and figure something else out. Scenario number 3 will bring a horrified chill to anyone. If homosexuals do not abuse minors at a higher rate than heterosexuals, but we see that 80% of Catholic abuse or priests target boys, then the only other scenario I can think of is that the small fraction of homosexual predators who are looking to prey upon boys are purposefully entering the priesthood in such a large rate that it seems organized. And this scenario would make any heterosexual and homosexual priest cry out for an investigation. Now, I'm not choosing which one I believe is the reality. I'm just presenting the options that I can figure out. And the church does need to investigate in case any of these are true. And if this video makes anyone upset, well, don't get mad at me, get mad at the numbers, because all I'm doing is just explaining. Go look at the John Jay report yourself. And so I end with, I love you guys. I am not a hater. I just wanted to look at the numbers and run them and see what happened. You guys have a great day. This is Morning Thoughts, and see you in the next video.